So you're muted, but I can see you waving. Um, so I'm Elizabeth Hewlett, Chair of the Prince George's County Planning Board, and the Planning Board is in session for the Thursday, February 11th, 2021 session. In this continued pandemic, we continue to host virtual hearings, and today marks the 38th virtual meeting since March 2020. We remain committed to promoting a healthy and safe environment for our public, applicants, stakeholders, and our staff as we continue business operations to propel Prince George's County forward. I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone of our participation guidelines. Speaker pre-registration and pre-submission of comments and exhibits is required. All participants must pre-register, and all materials or exhibits, if any, must be submitted by 12 noon on the Tuesday before the planning board meeting, as shown on this screen, as announced in weekly meetings, as posted on our website, and as clearly stated in bold red on our published weekly planning board agenda. Registered speakers and presenters can join the meeting with the link provided via email from the planning board office. Registered speakers may also listen or participate in the meeting using a phone line, utilizing the call-in number provided via email. We ask all participants to mute your phones when not speaking. To eliminate audio feedback, only one connected device with sound should be in a room at the same time. And of course, the public may continue to watch planning board meetings streamed live, or if you wish to become a person of record, you may sign up using our online web form. Please note the screen for instructions. I'm going to take a moment to make sure that we have a good head count. I'm going to go to our planning board. I see we have Commissioner Washington present. We have Commissioner Dorner.
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. We have Commissioner Giraldo.
Good morning.
Good morning. On this beautiful snowy morning, we have our senior counsel, Peter Goldsmith, present.
Morning.
Good morning. And holding up the fort here, we have our technical hearing writer, Marie Proctor, here today. And we have Kenny Flanagan working the PowerPoint, our senior planner. And we have Ryan Cron, our visual media specialist, holding down the fort from the IT perspective as well. We're going to keep on going, and I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I see we also have our Chief of Development Review, James Hunt, with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I'm going to take a moment at this, as always, to commence with a moment of silence. So we've had some losses within our commission family. Joseph Gill, who is the father of Khalil Gill, and Khalil is a superb photographer who works and videographer who works with that works with Public Affairs and Marketing Division of the Department of Parks and Recreation. Junie Stutz, who is the mother of Mary Bowie. Mary serves as the Therapeutic Recreation Manager with the Department of Parks and Recreation. And as I announced, it is Therapeutic Recreation Month. And then William Kelly Etheridge, who was the former senior carpenter with the Departments of Parks and Recreation, Maintenance and Development section. He retired in 2009 after 43 years of service. Now, in the Prince George's County legal community, we want to remember Johnny DeLoach, who was the father of Jason DeLoach. Jason is an attorney with Alexander and Cleaver and the board member of Prince George's County Bar Association. And so we want to keep the DeLoach family in our thoughts and prayers. And then Brian Bregman, who was age 43, who apparently was murdered, perhaps in a burglary. He was a defense attorney in Laurel, and he too was a member of the Prince George's County Bar Association, who happened to also serve as a volunteer firefighter and a paramedic with the Greenbelt Volunteer Fire Department. And he was also a Maryland forensic death investigator and reserve officer with the District of Columbia Police, and an attorney. Talk about service. So we want to remember Mr. Bregman's family in our thoughts and prayers as well. We want to remember the growing number of victims of the widespread coronavirus. We are now approaching 28 million cases in the United States, 28 million cases, and over 478,000 deaths. Among these, this past week, were Representative Ron Wright, who was a congressman from Texas, and Mark Wilmore, who was an actor typically featured in Living Color and F is for Family, and he died due to complications from COVID. Throughout the nation and the world, we remember the iconic, beautiful songstress, Mary Wilson, who was a founding member and longest tenured member of the famed Supremes, the best charting female group in United States history. The trio had 12 number one hits: Where Did Our Love Go, Baby Love, Stop in the Name of Love, and you may remember that as well. She was interviewed for Black History Month and gave this fabulous, energetic, enthusiastic interview just 2 days before she died suddenly. So we want to remember Mary Wilson in our thoughts. And then there is the iconic actor Christopher Plummer. How many of us grew up on The Sound of Music and saw the captain with all his kids, the widow captain and his kids? He was phenomenal in that movie from 1965 all the way up to 2019 when he starred in Knives Out. Just phenomenal. So his work earned him an Academy Award and 2 Primetime Emmy Awards, 2 Tony Awards, and a Golden Globe Award. George Shultz, age 100, former U.S. Secretary of State, one of 2 Americans to have held 4 different cabinet level positions. Leon Spinks, age 67, the former professional boxer who won the light heavyweight gold medal at 1976 Olympics, and in 1978 defeated Muhammad Ali in an historic upset to win the world heavyweight boxing champion. Larry Flynt, age 78, founder of Hustler magazine, but who also championed First Amendment rights. Danny Ray, age 85, James Brown's, the iconic Godfather of Soul, James Brown's longtime MC and personal valet, who became known as the Cape Man. During every performance, James Brown would drop to his knees in the middle of singing, and Danny Ray would come around with the cape, which James Brown would later shake off and get up and do his thing. Get up and get on up and do his thing. Marty Schottenheimer, age 77, one of National Football League's winningest coaches. During his 21-year career, he was the head coach for the Cleveland Browns, Kansas City Chiefs, Washington Football Team, and San Diego Chargers. Diane Durham, first Black gymnast to win a U.S. national championship in 1983. Millie Hughes, age 75, trailblazing astronaut and scientist who was the first female payload specialist to fly in space for NASA. Mike Henry, former USC and NFL linebacker, also known for his roles in the Tarzan movies and Smokey and the Bandit. Tricia Noble, actress who appeared in the Star Wars franchise. Charlie Kruger, age 84, NFL player who played 15 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers. Patricia Healy, actress and wife of singer Engelbert Humperdinck. Pedro Gomez, ESPN Sports Center reporter, only 58. Billy Brown, 68, patriarch of Alaskan Bush People reality series. Jim Weatherly, musician, singer, songwriter who wrote Gladys Knight's hits Midnight Train to Georgia and Neither One of Us Wants to Be the First to Say Goodbye. Robert Altman, lawyer, video game executive, founder of the Maryland-based company ZeniMax Media, and husband of Wonder Woman, Linda Carter. And of course, we extend our deepest sympathy to any of you who may have suffered a loss in your family or loss of a loved one. And our hearts go out to you. If we may have that moment of silence, please. Thank you. We are right smack in towards approaching the middle of February. It is Black History Month. It is American Heart Month. And tomorrow is Wear Red Friday to signify your concern for our heart health. So make sure you all wear red tomorrow. It is also an Affair to Remember month, and we are talking about the beautiful romantic black and white movie, not any other kind of affair. It is National Teen Dating Violence and Awareness Month. We will have Parks and Rec Department is having an annual program with teens to teach them about dating and dating abuse, and it's prevalent. So we must all talk to our teens because there's a huge disconnect. 75% of parents think they talk to their kids and that it's not a problem, whereas 34% of kids will say the parent hasn't had a discussion with them, and they've never confided their abuse to the parent. So you really must engage your kids. And again, it's National Therapeutic and Recreation Month. February 11th, it is Don't Cry Over Spilled Milk Day. February 11th, 1812, the Massachusetts legislature adopted new district boundaries designed to enhance the predominant political party's control over state and national offices, leading to some very oddly shaped legislative districts. So, though not his creation, on February 11th, 1812, Massachusetts Governor Elbridge Gerry signed the redistricting bill into law. Thus, we saw the evolution of the term gerrymandering to create such oddly configured districts. February 11th, 1961, an African-American economist, Robert Weaver, was sworn in as the administrator of the Housing and Home Finance Agency and ultimately became the director of HUD, Housing and Urban Development. He was the first African-American appointed to a cabinet-level position, although decades earlier, in 1934, he was part of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt's Black cabinet due to his tremendous expertise in housing matters. Now, this is not February 11th. This occurred on February 10th, 50 years ago. February 10th, 1971, was the release of Carole King's iconic Tapestry album, which has stood the test of time. It is number 25 on Rolling Stone magazine's top 500 albums of all times. And if you've never listened to that album, I invite you to do it. I still hold that close to my heart, though I was just starting high school. But Carole King was a prolific songwriter long before she ever became a singer. And she wrote some amazing songs for other artists. For instance, Natural Woman for Aretha Franklin, You've Got a Friend for James Taylor, Up on the Roof for the Drifters, Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow for the Shirelles, One Fine Day for the Chiffons, and Go Away Little Girl for Steve Lawrence. She is a 2021 nominee to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, along with Tina Turner, Mary J. Blige, Jay-Z, Chaka Khan, Dionne Warwick, the Foo Fighters, and LL Cool J. 1990, February 11th, 1990. On this day, South African attorney, anti-apartheid activist Nelson Mandela was released from prison after serving 27 horrific years in prison for his efforts to resist and dismantle the government-sanctioned form of racial segregation known as apartheid. 4 years later, he became South Africa's first Black president. And he was full of forgiveness. So I hope we will never forget Nelson Mandela. And finally, last week I announced it was Dump Your Significant Jerk Week. And that's really a necessary step if you had one, as you open up your hearts for Valentine's Day. So this Sunday is Valentine's Day. I invite and implore all of you to do what you need to do for your significant other. Get creative. We know this is a COVID quarantine environment. Do what you need to do. Get creative. Break out a recipe. Cook something real nice because you're likely to remain quarantined for a little longer, so you want to have smooth sailing at home. So do what you need to do and prepare a feast for a king or a queen. So the cultural arts study continues. So we want to join the Planning Department, Department of Parks and Recreation, and the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council for a virtual community meeting to discuss the role of the arts in creative placemaking. This next Thursday, the 18th at 7 p.m. And you can learn how arts and culture can be used in creative placemaking to improve the quality of life and create a distinct sense of place in our communities. Must register, though, by noon on the 17th, Wednesday the 17th. Again, it is Black History Month. We want to celebrate with the Planning Department this February with 2 upcoming virtual events inspired by the ASALH national theme. ASALH is the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, as established by Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black history. The This national theme is the Black family representation, identity, and diversity. So you can see the two items depicted on the screen, the Black Business Roundtable and Celebration and Culture. Also, the Department of Parks and Recreation's theme is Black Health Matters, an undoctored history of healthcare and healing traditions in the Black community. Month-long programs, including African American aviators, healthcare panel, music and dance, Negro League Baseball, She the People, and Step Africa. If you would like to look at any of these, you can go to blackhistory.pgparks.com. I'm going to show this brochure. You can see there's a virtual brochure online, and you can turn the pages, but lots and lots of programs. So we believe at the Commission of celebrating everything, everybody. We walk the walk of inclusivity. We thank each and every one of you and appreciate your flexibility, cooperation, and support as we continue to keep our planning functions moving forward in a safe fashion during our no longer new normal. We remain thankful for our blessings and ask that you make every effort to be kind. And this is so very important more than ever. Be kind to one another. Stay safe. Look out for each other. Reach out to someone who may be alone. Stay strong, stay resilient, but always, always, always remain ever hopeful as we strive to get through all of these challenging times together. And we will. Thank you. Our first order of business is item 2. We have the draft minutes from February 4th, 2021. Is there a motion?
Move approval, Madam Chair.
Is there a second?
Corner will second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Washington, a second by Commissioner Doerner. Commissioner Washington?
Aye.
Commissioner Doerner?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo?
Vote aye.
The ayes have it 4-0. Next, we have the consent agenda, which consists of item 4A, B, D, and E. Is there a
Move
motion?
approval, Madam Chair.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Washington, who was the motion maker.
Aye.
Commissioner Doerner?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo?
I vote aye, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Item 5, I should point out, is removed from the agenda. So that will be rescheduled at another point in time. The next items that we have on our agenda will be in this order: item 6, item 9, item 8, followed by item 7, and then 3A. 6, 9, 8, 7, and 3A. Item 6, let's make sure we have everyone. Mr. Kowalik?
Here.
Mr. Tedesco?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm here.
Wonderful. Steve Nelson? Mr. Tedesco, while we're looking for Mr. Nelson, I mentioned an awful lot of songs, probably all of which were before your time. But I know there are some people on this site who will remember a lot of those songs. They will remember Mary Wilson. They will remember Tina Turner. They will remember LL Cool J, and they will remember Carole King. Okay.
Well, two of those
Steve Nelson's here.
are definitely my generation, Madam Chair.
There you go. Okay.
LL Cool J and Tina Turner. I can attest to those two for sure.
And let me just say, Tina Turner is iconic. I've seen her many times in concert. Okay. And I see Mr. Doerner, our baby of the planning board. He's smiling too, so he knows some too. And
Same situation as Mr. Tedesco.
okay. But I'm sure Commissioner Giraldo knows them all.
Who's
Okay. Okay. So Mr. Nelson is present. Mr. Wilson? Bruce Wilson? You know, and Adria Weber?
I'm present.
Okay, wonderful. So I've got 2 of you from the same company, so I think that pretty much covers it. Mr. Kowalik, you're ready?
Yes, Madam
You're muted.
Chair.
Okay, good. Okay, let's go.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, Ted Kowalik with Countywide Planning Special Projects Section. Here seeking your approval to transmit staff's recommendation regarding mandatory referral 2018F. It's MDL 007 Westphalia Road, Jaws. It's a solar energy system project. Next slide, please. This is the general location of the property. It is in Council District 6, Planning Area 78, and is located at the address 9908 Westphalia Road. Next slide, please. Here's an aerial view of the site outlined in red. It contains approximately 38.18 acres and was a remediated Class 3 rubble landfill. Next slide, please. Again, this is just a project site vicinity map with the property outlined in red. Next slide. Here's a natural features map of the site, and you can tell by the topography and the step slope on the property that it was a fill and has been also remediated with trees, some of which took and some which did not. Next slide, please. The existing zoning on the property is RA. Next slide, please. This is right-of-way map, and Westphalia Road is a collector. The next slide, please. Here's the site plan for the solar energy system, and it's going to be placed on basically the knoll, the top of the knoll of the remediated rubble fill, and it is adequately screened on all sides by the existing vegetation. Next slide, please. This project description, the applicant seeks to construct a 1.5 megawatt solar energy system, and that'll be on approximately 7.17 acres of that 38.18 acre site. The operation of the facility will be limited in scope to just maintenance crews for mowing, vegetation management, and semi-annual maintenance of the solar array components. The applicant hopes to begin construction at the end of 2021. And the final slide, please. Staff supports the development concept for the solar energy system project with no recommendations. And that concludes staff presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kowalik. Let's see if there are any questions of you. Commissioner Washington.
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Dorner.
No questions.
Commissioner Giraldo.
No questions, Madam Chair.
Mr. Tedesco, you're on.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. Good morning, members of the Planning Board. For the record, Matthew Tedesco with the law firm of McNamee, Hosey and Greenbelt. On behalf of Night One LLC, care of SGC Power LLC. With me this morning, Mr. Steve Nelson, Adria Weber, from SDC Power. I'll be very brief, Madam Chair. We just want to thank Mr. Kowalik and your entire staff's review of this mandatory referral application. Just a couple of high points to mention to the board for its edification with respect to this project. As Mr. Kowalik indicated, we are proposing a 1.5 megawatt solar energy system as part of the community solar energy generating system, the pilot program that's now been in existence for a few years. And the board's reviewed a few of these over the time that pilot program has been initiated. So I know you're familiar with these projects. For this one in particular, we estimate approximately 250 to 300 homes could be served with this renewable energy at 1.5 megawatts. I would just mention that as Mr. Kowalik said, the location of the array and the existing wooded vegetation areas provide adequate buffering and screening. It's in the middle of a 33-acre property. The closest property line is well over 200 feet, and even that is to an industrial use. The homes are pretty significantly set back. I think more than 260 feet is the closest residential property line, and the homes, of course, are even farther from that. Plan 2035 encourages the investments in energy infrastructure and renewable energy. and encourages the generation of low carbon and clean renewable energy sources for which this use will facilitate. Also, just would mention that this application, as well as all the documents that was submitted in conjunction with it, adhere to and follow the county solar energy system guidelines for mandatory referral cases, which were adopted in the Uniform Standards for Mandatory Referral review by you all in 2018, I believe. This property is a reutilization of a Class 3 rubble fill, which is of the highest priority in those guidelines. And finally, Madam Chair, I would just submit on the statement of justification. We prepared a fairly robust justification statement, which is in your backup, and we would submit on that. Again, thanks staff, especially Mr. Kowalik, and his review of this application, and Mr. Nelson and Ms. Weber are here should there be any questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tedesco. Let's see if the board has any questions of you. Commissioner Washington,
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Giraldo,
No questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Dorner.
Just a quick question on the invasive species. Mr. Tedesco, are you guys going to remove all of that?
So we'll be removing the invasive species within the 7-acre solar array area, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other questions, and your team is here for questions only, as you indicated, right, Mr. Tedesco?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, is there a motion?
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Kowalik, did you have anything else? Mr. Kowalik, did you have anything else to add?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Commissioner Washington. Go.
that's okay. Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of staff and approve the transmittal of MR-2018F to SGC Power LLC, Mr. Steve Nelson.
Second,
We have a motion by Commissioner Washington, seconded by, was that Commissioner Giraldo?
yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Washington,
Aye.
Commissioner Giraldo,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it 4-0. Mr. Kowalik, I know you're familiar with some of those songs too. Okay, so our next item on the agenda will be item 9, which is detailed site plan 20027 Woodyard Station Phase 3. Let's do a check. Mr. Bishop, are you on?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Present.
Wonderful. Mr. Hatcher, I see you. Okay.
Present.
Okay. Griffin Burns.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. Matt Mudderman.
He's here in the office with me.
Okay. Did I pronounce it correctly? Probably not.
You did.
I did. Okay, thank you. Mike Lenhart.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Daniel Jackson.
Good morning, present.
Daniel Smigelski.
Present, Madam Chair.
Is that close?
It's exactly correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So that concludes the sign-up list. We have 2 exhibits. We have applicant's exhibit number 1, which is the Mosa Avenue proposed street design, and applicant's exhibit 2, which are proposed revisions to the conditions. Mr. Bishop, you are on.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Planning Board. For the record, Andrew Bishop with the Urban Design Section. Item 9 is the DSP for the construction of 119 single-family attached units in Phase 3 of Woodyard Station. As a matter of housekeeping, the applicant has submitted revised conditions and an exhibit prior to the Tuesday deadline that should be a part of your backup and is prepared to discuss these items if it is the desire of the board. Slide 2, please. The site is in Planning Area 81A, Council District 9. Slide 3, please. The property is located on the north side of Woodyard Road, west of its intersection with Branch Avenue. Slide 4, please. The site is in the MXT zone and within the overall Woodyard Station development, which is bound to the north by residentially developed properties and vacant land, south and east by commercially developed property, and west by a church and vacant property in the R80 and MXT zones. The specific area of this DSP is on the north side of the extension of Mimosa Avenue and east of Woodyard Station Road. Slide 5, please. The property is within the height zone E of the military installation overlay zone. The single-family attached dwellings proposed with this application meet the height requirements of this zone. Slide 6, please. The aerial shows the property, which is currently vacant and outlined in red. Slide 7, please. The site slopes to the north and east and proposes no environmental impacts. Slide 8, please. The master plan rights of way in the vicinity of the property include the master plan primary roadway I-507, which bisects the property and is shown in pink. The slide also shows the arterial Woodyard Road shown south of the site in red, and the collector Old Branch Avenue west of the site in green. Slide 9, please. This illustration shows that shows the application, which is the third phase of Woodyard Station, consisting of 13.45 acres of the total 21.82 acre site. The DSP proposes 119 single-family attached dwellings, private recreational amenities, and infrastructure for a future commercial and office development on proposed parcel 3, which will be the subject of a future DSP. The townhouses proposed with this application include a mix of 23 front and 96 rear-loaded one-car garage units on fee simple lots. Slide 10, please. This is an illustrative site plan submitted with the application and shows the entire development, including phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 of Woodyard Station, which is the subject of this application. The townhouse units proposed with this DSP are arranged in a series of private roads and alleys and are organized in a grid-like pattern around the community open spaces and courtyards, which are accessed from Woodyard Station Road. Slide 11, please. A mix of rear and front-loaded single-family attached alternatives are proposed with this application and are designed with a variety of exterior finishes and roof designs, shutters, enhanced window and door trim, and recessed porches at the front doors. This slide shows the front elevation of the front-loaded one-car garage Del Mar model. Slide 12, please. This slide shows the rear elevation of the Del Mar model. Slide 13, please. The last slide of the Del Mar model shows the proposed side elevations. Highly visible side elevations were not identified on the DSP or on the architectural elevations and are recommended to be provided. The highly visible units should include side elevations with a minimum of 3 standard features in addition to a full first floor finished in brick or masonry. Slide 14, please. The next 3 slides show the elevations of the rear loaded garage model, the Del Mar 2. This slide shows the front elevation, which is similar to the Del Mar model and proposes a variety of elevations with multiple finish options. Slide 15, please. This slide shows the rear elevation of this model with one-car garage and rear entries. Slide 16, please. The last slide for this model is of the proposed side elevations. Again, recommendations for highly visible elevations are also conditioned, as discussed on page 7 of the staff report. Slide 17, please. This slide shows the details of the recreational amenities that are proposed with the application in the common space and open areas, such as the pavilion proposed on parcel F, the equipment proposed for the towel lots, and the picnic and sitting areas proposed on site. Conditions related to the installation of additional facilities to meet the recreational value have been recommended by staff, and the applicant will be proposing alternative triggers for the timing and installation of these facilities that is in phase with the construction of the townhomes. Staff has reviewed this revised language and is in agreement. Slide 18, please. This property is subject to the provisions of the Woodland and Wildlife Habitat Conservation Ordinance. A TCP2 was submitted with this application that is recommended for approval, subject to conditions included on page 20 of the staff report. In conclusion, the urban design section recommends the planning board adopt the findings of this report and approve detailed site plan DSP 20027 and TCP 2020-2020-02 for Woodyard Station Phase 3, subject to the conditions found in the staff report. As previously discussed, the applicant has proposed revised condition language, which has been reviewed by staff, and staff is in agreement with the proposed language. This concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bishop. Let's see if there are any questions of you at this time. Commissioner Washington.
No questions.
Thank you. Okay, it's Commissioner Dorner.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, and where's Commissioner Giraldo? Oh, there he is. Okay, Giraldo. Thank you.
I have no questions, Madam Chair.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Hatcher.
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioners, for the record, my name is Chris Hatcher with the law firm of Lurch, Early and Brewer here on behalf of the applicant, D.R. Horton, in application DSP 20027 and associate TCP 2014-2020-02. The planning board should be very familiar with this application. It reviewed and approved the vast majority of the elements through the CSP process, the preliminary plan process, and the various detailed site plans that were before this board prior to this moment. The applicant is particularly proud of the robust community outreach and the coordination with staff. So we're appreciative to the stakeholders and ultimately envisioning and re-envisioning what this community could be over the course of this application. This application is specifically for the townhouse portion of it, and we have reviewed and analyzed the proposed recommendations contained in the staff report, and we're largely in support of them with some proposed revisions as outlined in applicant's exhibit number 2. We also submitted an applicant's exhibit number 1, which generally outlines how the recreational facilities in the community relate to how the project is going to be constructed. And so that largely informs some of the revisions that were done to condition number 2 in applicant's exhibit number 2. We're more than willing to have to elaborate on that with the board if you see fit. But with that, the applicant respectfully requests that the planning board adopt the findings of facts, conclusions of law, and recommendations contained in DSP 20027 and associated TCP 2 as revised by applicant's exhibit number 2 and approve this application. And there are quite a few members of our team on the line, but we are all prepared to respond if you guys have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hatcher. Let's see if there are any questions of you at this time. Commissioner Washington.
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Dorner.
Yeah, I just have a question about the playgrounds. It's kind of a nitpicky question. There's in the slides, on the 2 diagrams on the right-hand side there, which are supposed to be tot lots, there's no swings for any of the kids. So, and some kids don't have mobility in their legs. So swings are something that allows them to be outside and get recreation, particularly young kids. But there's other kids who are handicapped or have issues that wouldn't be able to take part in basically any of that stuff that you have there. Is there an ability to put a swing potentially in there?
For that specific question, I think that Griffin from D.R. Horton might be able to respond to that.
That's certainly a possibility.
Okay, would you be willing to make a concession to add that in?
Yes. Would it be possible for us to substitute another piece of playground equipment in lieu of a swing or in addition to a swing? We're constrained by space is kind of what I'm getting at. So
yeah, I understand. I mean, what are you trying to ask? I mean, I would say no if it's like something that requires jumping, that requires leg movement. But a swing or something kind of similar, if like one of those spinning things that kids can kind of sit on, or something that would allow children who don't have mobility in their legs, or basically babies or infants, to actually participate, would be helpful. Because there's a lot of times where parents have kids who are toddlers that can use the slides and other things you have there, but they also have a baby in tow, and they have to deal with both of them kind of being able to play in the same area.
Oh, I see. I think what he might have been saying is that he would be willing to put in the swing if they could remove something else.
Right.
Okay.
I think that's what my client was suggesting. I think what I heard, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, is we are willing to evaluate some alternative recreation, which includes some facilities that will accommodate what you're discussing right here. We just have to make sure that from a spatial perspective, we can have it all fits. There's not a resistance to what you're suggesting, just making sure that it fits within the space we have.
Okay.
Commissioner Dorner, how about a consideration?
That works with me.
Okay. All right, so we'll work on that language. Okay. Was that it for you, Commissioner Dorner?
Yes, no other questions.
Okay, Commissioner Giraldo?
I hate to be a stickler, but rather than a consideration, what I heard the representative from D.R. Horton said was he's willing to put a swing as long as he could remove one of the other.
Right, he did.
And I'm just thinking that a consideration is fine, but if they're willing to make that proffer that they'll put a swing and just remove something else, I think that assures us that that'll be something there that will help children who are not mobile.
It does. I understood that as well, Commissioner Giraldo, but at the same time, I think they also have to look at their space, their spacing there. There may be some things that they have to look at. Now, let me just put it this way. If we put it in as a consideration, if I'm saying this to Mr. Burns, to everyone from D.R. Horton, to Mr. Hatcher, everybody comes back this way. So I am saying if we put it in as a consideration, we really mean do consideration in earnest. The only reason that I might be hesitant is to figure out the spacing. And he's saying Mr. Burns said he's willing to do it, if assuming they can remove something else. But what is the something else? Where would you put the swing, to make sure it's out of the way of the other playground equipment, that kind of stuff. I mean, it might require them to look at spacing. I don't know.
Very well.
Willing and able to accommodate that request. I just want to make sure that all the civil engineering work we've done up to this point with the open space areas remains at least consistent with this application.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Giraldo, are you okay with that?
I'm fine. I just, I to the extent I think, that they understand, that D.R. Horton understands that we need to take this seriously. That's all. And that if they can do it, they will do it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. There are no other questions. Okay. Mr. Bishop, did you have anything else to add?
No, ma'am.
And you indicated we were okay with the conditions, the revised conditions in applicant's exhibit number 2.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If the board has no other questions, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the findings of staff in addition to the consideration just discussed on the record, which would include evaluating alternative playground equipment such as a swing. And I would ask staff and council to please embody the language as per this discussion. And then in so doing, approve DSP-20027 and TCP2-014-2020-02, along with the conditions as outlined in staff's report and is further modified by applicant exhibit number 2.
Second?
So we have a motion by Commissioner Washington, seconded by, was it Commissioner Giraldo?
Yes.
Okay, let me, Commissioner Washington,
Aye.
Commissioner Giraldo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Goldsmith, you'll continue to work with Mr. Bishop as well. Thank you. Let me say this, for those of you who are not on a particular case, if you could turn your cameras off, because it's very hard for me to zero in on folks. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, commissioners. And I'm not so young, Madam Chair and Commissioner Dorner, that I don't recognize some of those names.
Okay, there you go. Okay, Mr. Hatcher. I'm feeling better about knowing all of them. Okay.
Well, have a good day.
Okay, you too. Next item is item 8, which is detailed site plan 19004 Branch Avenue, MXT. Mr. Hurlbut, are you on?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. Mr. Haller.
I am on, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Don't get me started, Mr. Haller. I know you know all of them. Okay.
I've seen a few of them, so I'm happy to say that.
I bet you have. Okay, I'm going down the list. Brandon Gurney.
Here, Madam Chair.
Nat Ballard.
Present, Madam Chair.
Stephen Allison.
Here, Madam Chair.
Jason Stanley.
Present, Madam Chair.
Alex Viegas.
Present, Madam Chair.
And Rogers is out here in full force. Okay, Mike Lenhart.
Present, Madam Chair.
Sean Day.
I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. That concludes my sign-up list. We have 2 additional exhibits. We have applicants' revisions to conditions. That's applicants' exhibit number 1, I think. And then we have the Branch Avenue MXT illustrative site plan exhibits 13 pages. That's applicant's exhibit number 2. Mr. Hurlbut, you are on.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Board. For the record, I'm Jeremy Hurlbut, representing the Urban Design Section today. The project before you is item 8, detailed site plan DSP 19004, Branch Avenue MXT. As was previously stated, there is additional backup, which includes revised conditions and exhibits. The applicant is requesting a detailed site plan for 324 one-family attached or townhouse dwelling units. Next slide. The site is located in the southern portion of Prince George's County in Planning Area 85A, Council District 9. Slide. More specifically, the subject site is on the north side of Brandywine Road, approximately 1,600 feet north of the intersection of Moores Road. Staff would also note that the staff report incorrectly identifies Brandywine Road as Maryland Route 381, and that will be corrected in the resolution. Next slide. The subject property is zone mixed-use transportation, or MXT zone, as shown here outlined in red. Next slide. The aerial photo illustrates the existing conditions of the property, which is 72 acres in size, and the site is currently vacant and wooded. The site is bounded to the east by the remainder of the Branch Avenue MXT development that was approved through CSP-17003 and Branch Avenue or Maryland Route 5 beyond. To the Brandywine Road is to the west, and single-family detached dwelling units beyond, as well as to the north and to the southwest. The southeast of the property is WSSC property, which is improved with the water storage tank, which is in the bottom right of your screen. Next slide. Site map shows the site has varied topography that includes steep slopes and a stream that will separate the residential portion of the development from the future commercial and elderly care facility that were approved through the CSP to the east.
Okay, somebody's having a telephone conversation and they're not muted. So we can hear everything, just so you know. Okay. Mr. Hurlbut.
Slide 7, please. Or next slide. The subject property fronts on Master Plan Collector Brandywine Road, shown here in green. There will be one access point off Brandywine Road and 2 access points off Savannah Parkway, also known as Master Plan Arterial A65, shown here in red. A65 is planned to travel through the subject property and provide a connection between Brandywine Road and Maryland Route 5 to the east. A waiver has been submitted to the Prince George's County Department of Permitting, Inspections, and Enforcement, or DPI, which will only require a portion of the roadway to be constructed at this time. Next slide. This graphic shows the 3 phases of the development, which will start with the initial phase along Brandywine Road and move to the east. Next slide. The illustrative site plan shows the applicant is proposing to develop the 72-acre property with 324 one-family attached dwelling units or townhouses. The development will have a grid layout with a mixture of front, rear, loaded garage townhouses and townhouses without a garage, and recreational facilities spread throughout the community. On-street parking will be provided on internal streets near recreational facilities and within driveways and garages. Next slide. This graphic illustrates the unit breakdown with rear-loaded garage units fronting on master plan right-of-ways, as shown here in pink. In green are the no garage units that will have on-street parking in front of them, and rear load. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Rear-loaded units are shown in pink, and front-loaded garage units are shown in blue on the southern portion of the property. Preliminary plan of subdivision 4-18028 granted a variance that allowed for the reduction in the minimum building width within this development for 45 interior lots, which approved 16-foot townhouses, which are shown in yellow and spread throughout the community. Next slide. The applicant will provide a mixture of units, 4 different types as shown here in the floor plans, which again include front-loaded, rear-loaded, and no garage townhouse units, and includes 16, 20, and 22-foot wide models. The range in base finish area is 1,586 to 2,201 square feet. Next slide. The burner, all units will have some brick on the front facade. The 16, 20, and 22-foot wide townhouses will come in multiple facade variations and materials, gabled roofs, dormers, and bay windows and porches, decks, and other architectural details are found on all facades. The Bernard, a 20-foot wide, no garage townhouse is shown in this elevation, and will have a base elevation or square footage of 1,586 square feet. Next slide. And the optional side and rear elevations are shown here with increased brick on highly visible units and two options for decks shown in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. Next slide. The Jenkins, a 20-foot wide rear-loaded two-car garage townhouse, will have a base finished square footage of 1,943 square feet. Next slide. And this slide shows the varied options for the side elevation. Next slide. And the rear elevation shows that this unit will also have an additional option for a loft with terrace in option 1 on the left-hand side of the screen. Next slide. The Hugo is a 16-foot wide rear-loaded one-car garage townhouse with a base finish area or square footage area of 1,643 square feet. Next slide. Similar options will be provided for the side and rear elevations for these units as well. Next slide. The Louisa is a 22-foot wide front-loaded two-car garage unit and will have the base finished square footage of 2,201 square feet. Oh, I apologize. These are the rear elevations. Next slide. Actually, can we go back one? I'll point out that for the Hugo unit, there is an option for a loft with terrace or an additional bedroom on the 4th floor as shown in options 2 and 3 in this slide. Next slide. Again, the Louisa is a 22-foot wide front-loaded two-car garage unit. That's 2,201 square feet. Next slide. This shows the rear and side elevations with optional decks and loft options with 4th floor terraces. Next slide. The Bike and Ped exhibit shows that there will be sidewalks on both sides of all streets highlighted in green and trails on the east side of the property in brown. Additionally, the purple circles denote bicycle parking locations on the property. Next slide. The recreational map shows the 5 private on-site recreational facilities that are spread out across the site. And we will run through these moving from the bottom left of the screen, moving to the upper right in the next slides. Next slide. The first recreational facility closest to Brandywine Road is the pavilion and gathering space as shown here with the details attached. Next slide. Moving further to the east is Playground A, a natural themed play area as highlighted here. Next slide. This is a wooded landscaped seating area with trees in a landscaped fashion as shown here with a fire pit. Next slide. This is a recreational field and plaza as with details attached. Next slide. And finally, playground area B, which is a type track and town center themed playground, but there are also additional lawns and gathering spaces spread throughout the community. Next slide. The DSP proposes 2 monument signs. The main entrance sign will have a stone base and a 6-foot stone pillar on the left-hand side. The dark sign panel with pen letters will be uplit and will hang from a wood beam supported by a pillar and wood post. The main entrance sign will have a face area of 54 square feet and will be located in the median of A65 at the intersection of Brandywine Road. Due to its location in the median, it will require approval from the Prince George's County Department of Public Works. A second entrance sign with a smaller pillar and the same finishings except for the brick base will be 25 square feet in size and will be located in the southeast corner of A65 and Canopy Avenue. The third sign will be a 6-foot high pillar, which will be situated at the northeast corner of the intersection of Gladbrook Road and Brandywine Road. This will include the same metal emblem that is highlighted in this graphic on the upper right-hand side, which staff has conditioned that details be provided for, as this appears on all signs within the development. Next slide. The on-site regulated environmental features include wetlands, streams, a 25-foot wetland buffer, and a 75-foot stream buffer, floodplain, and steep slopes, which make up the primary management area, or the PMA, as shown in the TCP. Next slide. The applicant has requested one impact of 626 square feet to the PMA for a stream valley buffer and steep slopes for a stream or stormwater management outfall, as shown here, highlighted in blue. The urban design staff recommends the planning board adopt the findings of this report and detailed site plan DSP 19004 and alternative compliance 20018 and type 2 conservation plan TCP 2-036-2020-01 for Branch Avenue MXT. The applicant has proposed revised conditions, and staff is in support of these revised conditions. And this concludes staff's presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Hurlbut. Let's see if there are any questions. Commissioner Washington.
Yeah, just a clarifying question. If we could go back to slide 13, please. Yeah, Mr. Hurlbut, could you, it's so hard to see, not only in my copy, but also on the screen, the bottom right where it has the different decks. Could you tell me what the differential is between those two decks? It looks like one has legs and one doesn't. Is that right? Or that's the only difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think the primary difference is the width of the decks. But with that additional width, I think there becomes additional support requirements. So if we look at the center elevation, or the one that's in the middle of the screen, there's no deck, and it has like a Juliet balcony type situation with a railing outside of the door. And then as you move to the right, it's the lesser width deck, and then the wider deck, I believe, if I am reading that correctly, but the applicant may be able to speak to that better to clarify that.
No, I appreciate it. So it really has to do with the size of it. It just doesn't come through so clear on the PowerPoint, but thank you.
Understood.
Thank you. That was it for you, Commissioner Washington?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Dorner.
Yeah, I'm going to have a similar kind of question for Mr. Haller just on this, because it looks like some of them are coming out farther, also on the far left and that bottom left. And I know this is on all of the models have that option for an extended deck. So I just was wondering about sizing of it and how that works, because it becomes a little bit more dangerous for some of the homes that are abutting to rear alleys, which I assume that you would not put those on. But I'll let him address that when he comes up.
Okay. And then Commissioner Giraldo.
I just wanted to know what the depth are of the decks. I saw the width, but Mr. Haller can give it that.
I think that, okay, so let's okay, so no other questions of Mr. Hurlbut at this time. So let's turn to Mr. Haller.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Thomas Haller on behalf of the applicant in this case, which is Stanley Martin. This project, the Branch Avenue MXT project, is finally beginning to take shape. It's been in front of you, as you know, several times now, starting back in 2018 when we did the conceptual site plan, in 2019 when we did the preliminary plan of subdivision, and then in January we were back before you with DSP 20014 for the elderly care facility along the Branch Avenue frontage. And today we're here on the first section of townhouses for the project, which comprises 324 units. The builder in this case is Stanley Martin Homes. And if you look at the site plan, I think you will see that there's a variety of unit types, to a very wide variety. There's both options with regard to width, as well as front load or rear load garage, as well as no garage units. So there's a real broad range of unit types to offer to prospective homeowners in this location. The units are also provided with a lot of details. I'm going to throw the question about the decks to Brandon Gurney with Stanley Martin, but before I do that, I did want to mention as well that one of the things about this particular community and the designs is there's been a lot of attention paid to urban design. There's a lot of attention to landscaping, buffering, the recreational facilities. And we submitted as applicants exhibit 2, some additional images over and above what you have in your backup, but just to provide a little bit more of a detail with regard to how the entrance of the community is being landscaped and the buffers are being provided, and the details on the recreational facilities. And I know that's in your backup, and I won't go through each one of those images unless the board wants me to. But I did want to mention that this is a development where a lot of attention has been paid to the minor details. With regard to the question of decks, I think Mr. Hurlbut was correct in terms of the different types. If you look at the bottom left of the screen, you will see that on the far left, you'll see a wider deck with supports, and then you see a more narrow deck without the supports where they can cantilever from the building. But I'm going to ask Brandon to jump in with regard to the width or the depth of those decks on the various models.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Council, or members of the Planning Board. Brandon Gurney, Stanley Martin Homes. So the Bernard model that we have pulled up here, really what it comes down to is we generally prefer to do the posts. It's a deeper deck. So the one with the posts that you see in the middle there is 10 feet. The cantilever is 6 feet. And what really drives that is easements in the rear and how far we are able to go out. So in cases when we can go out further, we like to do it. We like to add the posts. I do want to point out that the decks will be standard for all rear-loaded units. And then the Bernard and the Louisa, where residents have a backyard, the deck will be optional.
Okay. When you finish, Mr. Haller, we'll see if the board has any questions of you or Mr. Gurney on this. Any additional questions? Okay.
That's fine. Well, other than the supplemental package that I gave, which provided additional landscaping and recreational facility details, we don't really have a whole lot more to add. We concur with the staff's recommendations and their conditions, with just a few minor revisions, which are set forth in our proposed revisions, which is applicant's exhibit number 1. I'm happy to go through each of those revisions if you would like, but
they're self-explanatory. They're self-explanatory for me, unless any board member has any questions on that.
So with that, I'll accept any questions that the board may have. We're very proud of this development. I think it's really shaping up nice, as I mentioned earlier, and we're looking forward to getting started on it.
Okay, let's see if there are any questions at this time. Okay, Commissioner Washington.
No questions, and thank you for the additional information regarding the decks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Dorner.
Yeah, I have a couple of smaller questions. So I'll start out in saying that the additional handout that you provided, Mr. Haller, is great. Like, all these finishes look awesome. Like, the vegetation looks really good. I wish that the attorney from the last case had stayed on for this case, because he would have seen examples of playground equipment that are actually really good for kids who have mobility challenges. And I am familiar with another Stanley Martin development that has those in there, and that's great to see those. So I just have a couple of minor questions that are kind of just nits based on what I've seen with other developments by this developer and similar kind of things. On the back decks, I was just wondering on those, when you have the actual decks that you can walk out on, either the smaller ones that don't come out quite as much, but actually go kind of the length of the townhome. Are you going to have natural gas kind of outlets out there? Because in sort of the initiative that you're pushing on the green energy, that's a pretty clean way of having grills and stuff out on the back of the units, but they're not always on some of the Stanley Martin units that I've seen.
My understanding is that there will not be any a gas supply there, but I'll ask Brandon to confirm that as well.
That's correct. We don't offer that.
Is there a reason why?
I'll be honest with you, I do not know. I can follow up with you though after this. I can look into it.
Yeah, because I think it's another nice sort of clean energy source that would fit really nicely with your models.
And just to clarify, are you looking for gas outlets at the deck level or at the ground level?
No, not the ground. It would be on the deck. So people will put charcoal grills out on those, which are extremely dangerous to have on those decks, and the natural gas grills, which are a little bit more expensive, would just hook right in there. There's a converter that you would just sort of attach on that you can get from a hardware store, and you can sort of clamp it on to the natural gas valves that you would put there. So it's like a spigot that you would have there.
Okay, I'll circle up with you.
Okay. And then the other question was just on solar panels. So I've asked this in a couple of other sort of townhome developments, whether or not at the point of kind of choosing the options on the homes, if it would be possible to have an option with a solar panel picked, because then, and you could have separate leasing options. I don't really mind about those things, but it becomes a lot easier to put in some of the roofing construction and the actual panels themselves if it's picked before the actual construction takes place.
So we don't offer that at this time. It's something that we're working on internally. We've received pushback from our contractors that would void our shingle warranty. So it's something we're looking into, but we don't offer at this time.
Okay, because I have a feeling you would see if you walk through some of your communities that have been developed or other ones nearby them, that starts to happen after market, where homeowners will do that. But then the level of quality is not always there sometimes. And then they have leaking issues and other things that could be potentially resolved if the builder themselves would actually kind of help a little bit more with that.
Understood. And it is something we're actively working on.
Okay, thank you. And that's it for me, Mr. Haller.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And Commissioner Giraldo.
I have no questions, Madam Chair.
Okay,
But
thank you.
I wanted to thank the applicant for the exhibit number 2 of the backup with regards to the greenery and the landscaping.
It was helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so if there are no other questions, and Mr. Hurlbut, if you have nothing else to add, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the findings of staff in addition to ensuring that the technical correction mentioned by staff earlier be updated as part of the resolution, and approve DSP-19004, AC 20018, and TCP2-036-2020-01, along with the conditions as outlined in staff's report and as further amended by applicant exhibit number 1.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Washington, seconded by Commissioner Giraldo. Commissioner Washington?
Aye.
Commissioner Giraldo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dorner?
Vote aye.
The ayes have it 4-0. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The board's going to take a 10-minute
Thank you.
health break, and then we will return at let's see, I guess at 10. It's 11:15 now, basically. So we'll be back at 11:25, in which case we will take item 7 followed by item 3A. Thank you. We have the next item on our agenda is detailed site plan 2008, Royal Farms number 282, Hope Village Center. I'm gonna check and make sure we have everyone. Adam Bassi, are you on? Yes, there you are.
Yes, Madam Chair. Good morning.
Wonderful. Sang O.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Present.
Okay. Mike Lenhart.
Yes, good morning and present.
Wonderful. Jeffrey Deeds.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair. Present.
Good morning. Emily Dean.
Present.
Jeff Bainbridge.
Good morning. Yes, present. Thank you.
Jeffrey Cassell or Castle.
It's Castle. Yes, Madam Chair, I am present.
Okay. You know I grew up watching Howard, but okay.
No.
Charmaine Tyler Jackson.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Wonderful. Christine Howe.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm present.
Jean Perry. Jean
She's
Perry.
on the phone. She's on the phone. She's trying to get on the app. Yeah.
Okay. There, we do have a phone number if she needs any help.
Well, she can hear you. Can you give it to her right now then?
Well, no, we'll take care of it. Ms. Jones, can you take care of that for me? I was saying she's having difficulty getting on. Jean Perry, and so she's trying to get in. They were saying that was the discussion. Jean Perry, Regina Ballard, and I think the phone number is on the list that was sent to her. Thank you, Ms. Ballard. Carolyn Bryant. Carolyn Bryant. Okay, I don't see her. Okay, so we're gonna go, and then we have two exhibits. We have applicants exhibit number 1, which is proposed revisions to the conditions. And then we have opponents exhibit number 1, Christine Howe's email. All right, Mr. Bossi, we're ready for you. Ready for takeoff.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chairwoman and members of the Planning Board. For the record, Adam Bossi with the Urban Design Section. This hearing is item number 7. This is for detailed site plan DSP 200008, which proposes the development of a food and beverage store and a gas station. As Madam Chair mentioned, there were 2 additional documents that we did receive, one from the applicant and one from Ms. Howe on behalf of the Marwood Homeowners Association. I do want to quickly thank Ms. Howe for setting up a quick meeting that we had. Mr. Hunt, myself, and several of the neighbors who had some questions and concerns regarding the case were able to chat on Monday. So thank you to her for setting that up. If we can move on to the second slide, we'll get started here. Here, the subject property is in Planning Area 82A, Council District 9. Slide 3, please. Outlined in light blue, the subject site is located at the southeast corner of the intersection of Woodyard Road and Marlboro Pike. Outlined in red is the larger Hope Village property that is the subject of several prior approvals under the zoning ordinance. These include conceptual site plan CSP 18007 and preliminary plan of subdivision 4-20003, which was before the board a few weeks ago. The conceptual site plan was approved back in 2019 for mixed-use development of the larger, I believe it's 37-acre property, and that was to include residential, commercial, and institutional uses. The PPS that was our preliminary plan of subdivision that was approved again a couple weeks ago was for the creation of 2 parcels to support the development of this Royal Farms and 1 out parcel, putting the remainder of the larger Hope Village site in reserve for future subdivision. With the slide 2, I do want to just point out the neighborhoods where several of the residents that we spoke to live in. They are visible here. If we look to the left of the site, we see Woodyard Road with the Norborn property, which is under development just beyond Woodyard Road. Just beyond that is the Bellcrest neighborhood and then the Marwood neighborhood, where we did speak with several of the citizens from. If we can move on to slide 4, please. As shown here, the subject site is zoned mixed-use transportation-oriented zone. and that's shown in purple. Next slide, please. The site is also within the military installation overlay zone for height associated with Joint Base Andrews. And here, the height of the proposed building and gas station will be well within the acceptable limits of the MIOZ. Slide 6, please. Here on the aerial image, we can see that the existing site is an agricultural use. Slide 7, please. As we can see here on the topographic map, there is some topography to the site, which generally slopes downhill toward the north, with its lowest point being along Marlboro Pike. Slide 8, please. Woodyard Road, which is shown here in red, is classified as a master plan arterial roadway and abuts the west side of our subject site, again outlined in light blue. Slide 9, please. So with the site plan image here, we've zoomed into the site a little bit. This was the area that was outlined in light blue in the earlier slides. Just to reorient you a little bit, on the previous slides, north faced upwards. Here on this slide, in the preceding slide, north does face to the left toward Woodyard Road, and west would be down to the bottom of the image along Woodyard Road. The intersection of Woodyard and Marlboro Pike are in that lower left corner of the image. So proposed with the detailed site plan are a 4,650 square foot Royal Farm Brands food and beverage store and a gas station with 8 fuel dispensers on parcel 1. Food and beverage store is shown in the east central portion of the site, and the gas station is shown between it and Woodyard Road. The proposed building and gas station are both oriented parallel to Woodyard Road. Parking is shown around the periphery of the building as well as the gas station site. Outdoor seating, bike racks, trash enclosure, and loading space are shown proximate to the building. Sidewalks are shown at appropriate locations interior to the site and do provide access down to Woodyard Road. Electric vehicle charging stations, something that the board has asked about in similar cases, are not provided here. But generally, staff has found the site layout for the food and beverage store and gas station and the other associated features on parcel 1 to be acceptable. With this image, we do also see wrapping around the store and the gas station parcel A, which was created to support the development of a private roadway to serve the commercial development on our subject site as well as future development on the Hope Village property. Here, the applicant has shown portions of the private roadway being developed to access the Royal Farms from both Woodyard Road and Marlboro Pike. As we did note in the technical staff report, staff has concluded that the full development of the private roads on Parcel A is necessary to support safe, convenient, and efficient vehicular motion in and out of the Royal Farms property once it's open for business. So we did include a recommendation in our staff report for the full development of this roadway. The applicant has provided some language seeking to adjust that, which I'll discuss at the end of the presentation. Slide 10, please. Here again, we see the site, but with its proposed landscaping, which is generally in conformance with the requirements of the manual. With staff's recommendation for the provision of the full length of the roadway on Parcel A, we have included a recommended condition here too for the applicant to provide the required landscaping. That would be street trees along with this. Slide 11, please. This slide and the following two do show the architectural elevations for the proposed Royal Farm building, which is pretty typical for the brand. Here we see the front west-facing facade of the food and beverage store with its main entrance defined by a gabled roof and entry vestibule. We can move on to the next slide, please. Here we're looking at the sides of the building, and here we can clearly see the different materials that they've proposed to clad it with, which includes stone and brick veneer and cementitious sidings. Canopies are also included as a decorative feature. Slide 13, please. Here we see the facade for the rear of the building, again with a second entrance on its left side, proximate to the signage and decorative canopies. Slide 14, please. A comprehensive signage program was provided with this DSP. Signage shown is typical again for the proposed use and the Royal Farms brand. Here, while the MXT zone does allow for design standards for signage to be determined at the time of detailed site plan review, staff did have a number of recommended conditions for minor design adjustments and technical corrections to the sign package. Next slide, please. So here we take a quick look at the facades of the gas station canopy, primarily on the right side of the image here. The materials and colors to be used are complementary to that of the building. Next slide, please. On our final slide, we do see the Type 2 tree conservation plan that does cover the larger Hope Village site and is inclusive of our phase 1 parcel here, which is down on the lower left-hand corner. There are no specimen trees or protected environmental features within our subject site. So before concluding with our staff recommendation, I do want to address the applicant's requested revisions to the technical staff report. Staff is in agreement with the applicant's requested revision to finding 7C and with the applicant's requested revisions to conditions 1M and 1N, which pertain to crosswalk design. Regarding condition 3 and the development of the private roadway as part of the detailed site plan, staff does not agree with the applicant's language as it is included in the additional backup, but we have been able to work with the applicant to find agreeable language that I would like to read into the record now, if Madam Chair is okay with that.
That's fine, Mr. Hobart. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Bossi. I know better. If you can go ahead and read that, please.
Yes, ma'am. So the language that we are suggesting for condition 3 is prior to approval of a building permit, the construction of roadways within parcel A shall have full financial assurances and have an agreed upon timetable for construction with the appropriate operating agency that shall require completion of construction of roadways within parcel A, including all landscaping, lights, and other improvements no later than 18 months following the issuance of a building permit, and in any event, no later than 90 days following the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the building on parcel 1. Madam Chair, members of the Planning Board, with this language change based on our review, staff recommends that the board does approve detailed site plan 20008 and type 2 tree conservation plan TCP 2-043-2020, again, subject to the conditions as included in the technical staff report, with the modifications to finding 7C and conditions 1M and 1N as provided by the applicant's exhibit, and with the modifications to condition 3 as just read into the record. With that, staff does conclude its presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bossi. I had a question, and first I'd like to know if Mr. Masog is on. I just want to make sure.
Yes, ma'am, I am on.
Okay. Wonderful, thank you, because I may have some questions. I know this is a detailed site plan stage, so we'll pass the preliminary plan stage, which is when we consider issues of traffic. So that has already been decided. And I may come back to you for confirmation of that. But I think it was in 2013, pursuant to subregion 6, that the zoning here changed from rural residential RR to MXT. And is that correct? I think that's what I gleaned from the staff report and what you were indicating, Mr. Bossi. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, so my question then is, once this property was determined, was rezoned to mixed use, MXT, the council then made this a food and beverage store and a gas station a permitted use in this zone. Either you can answer it, Mr. Bossi or Mr. Goldsmith.
Yeah, that's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. So whether we would want a gas station or whether that's permissible in the zone has already been predetermined by the body that enacts the laws for and the zoning for this. That's correct. Okay, so that that part is not an issue because it's been decided for us. So I just wanted to ask that question straight up. Let me see if the board has any questions for you. Commissioner Washington.
No questions.
Okay, Commissioner Dorner.
Yeah, I just have a question about, and it might help on slide, I think it was either 8 or 9, that has like the DSP overview of the site. For conditions 1M and 1N, with the raised crosswalk being a painted crosswalk, where is that located on here, and why are you willing to kind of go to the painted instead of the raised?
Thanks for that question, Commissioner Dorner. That may be one that our trail staff may be best to answer. And quite frankly, I'm not sure if they're on the phone, but if you do give me a minute, I would like to refer back to the staff report. It's also a question Mr. O or a member of his team, maybe Ms. Dean, could point out those crosswalks. I just don't want to point out the wrong ones mistakenly.
Hey, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is Brian Barnett with the Transportation Planning. Let's see, if we look at the site plan that's here, the crosswalks that we're talking about right now are the ones that go directly above the store. It's kind of in the center, and it's just a little bit to the right there. Right in the middle, that's one of the crosswalks. And then the other one is, just south of the store and to the right. And it's a little bit higher, right there.
Okay, so those are actually drawn on here with the diagonal lines?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so these are marked crosswalks with the diagonal line marked, so they're high visibility still. Our initial recommendation was for the raised crosswalks, just as a new treatment. But these will still provide a marked and separated pedestrian route, and both of them have sidewalk from the main road that connect into those crosswalks.
So why was there a decision to move from the raised to the just painted? Because my understanding, just pedestrian wise, is that the raised would provide more both visibility and just sort of like knowledge that you have pedestrians who are walking around there, particularly ones who may be in wheelchairs or strollers or different things like that. It would provide them a little bit additional protection in sort of a gas station kind of area.
This
Good
is
afternoon,
Emily.
Brian Barnett with Transportation. Oh.
Sorry, this is Emily Dean with Kimley Horn. Can I weigh in on that now?
What? Okay, so I'm trying to, who is speaking?
Emily Dean with Kimley Horn, the civil engineer for the project.
So can you help answer this question then?
Yeah, the areas directly surrounding the proposed store are all flush with the pavement. There is no curb provided around the store in order to allow pedestrian access without any tripping hazards. So in order to keep that consistent with the crosswalks, we were asking for the painted crosswalks in order to allow them to line up with the flush sidewalk around the store.
Okay, so that explanation makes a lot more sense because that's not obvious from here. Like I can see what looks to be maybe kind of concrete bollards or something in front of where cars would park, but it's not obvious that there's a difference in the height. So that definitely makes sense. The other question would be, how about like the width of those? Can they be, are they going to be wide enough? Because it looks like they're a lot more narrow than the sidewalks leading into them and kind of where they're going to. I just want to make sure there's enough visibility for anyone who's actually in them.
Sure, I think right now they are just as wide as the proposed 5-foot sidewalk, but we could certainly make them 8 feet wide.
Yeah, if you could do that, I think that would be fantastic. And that's all of my questions then.
Okay, that's it. Commissioner Giraldo. Commissioner
here.
Geraldo?
Sorry.
Okay. And
Yeah, the question I have, is Mr. Bazzi brought it out, is that there are no electric charging stations. So I wanted to ask the applicant if they would, we could put a consideration that they will consider installing electric charging stations.
okay. Well, can we get to the applicant? I mean, right now I'm asking if there are any other questions then of Mr. Bassi. Okay, thank you. Mr. O, you're on.
Yes. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Planning Board. My name is Sang O, and along with myself, or members of our development team are here to answer any other questions that you have. You are, of course, familiar with this project, having previously seen the concept plan as well as the preliminary plan of subdivision, as Adam mentioned a couple of weeks ago. I want to, first of all, thank staff and their willingness to work with us on some of these comments. We think we arrived at a good place. With respect to the modifications to Exhibit 1, which was our proffer or recommended changes to the staff revisions, I want to, first of all, point out it was a bit of a concession as far as the development team was to acquiesce to the full construction of that road prior to the use and occupancy of this store. Staff felt very strongly that there ought to be that road put in to try to alleviate the traffic at that intersection. And the commission members may recall some of the conversation at the preliminary plan of subdivision about the traffic issues at this site. Adequacy, however, was determined at the PPS, and consequently we are here on other issues. So you may recall from the discussion at the preliminary plan of subdivision, there was also some members from the community from the Belmont Crest Homeowners Association appeared. They had some questions and had requested that the developer reach out. And in fact, we did have the meeting this past Tuesday. It was a good meeting. We certainly discussed a lot of substantive issues. I think at the end, we resolved to continue the dialogue. It was pretty clear from the residents that they wanted a seat at the table to discuss the entire Hope Village as it proceeded forward, and we made that commitment. So although we didn't resolve all the issues, obviously, there is a commitment to have ongoing discussion. It was led by the members of the Antioch Baptist Church, the owners of the Hope Village property itself. We do agree with staff that this plan, the CSP, meets the requirements and the criteria under the law. We would ask that you adopt the staff's report's findings, conclusions of the law, and recommendations with their conditions as revised by Exhibit 1 with the new language that Mr. Bossi read into the record as presented by the applicant. And with that, we'll take any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O. Let's see if the board has any questions of you at this time. Commissioner Washington.
No questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Dorner.
No questions.
Okay, there you go. Commissioner Geraldo.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Wanted to know if you, the applicant, would agree to a consideration for charging stations. It just seems that Royal Farms and some of the other ones seem to be a little behind the times, given the fact that electric vehicles, for example, General Motors plans to have nothing but electric vehicles by 2035. And seems short-sighted not to provide it. So whether or not you would agree to at least, the very least, a consideration of putting in an electric charging station.
Yes, absolutely. What we would do is, Royal Farms as a company is not resistant towards alternative energies. I think what they have done is closely track the demand for Tesla and non-Tesla vehicles. They do believe that they're certainly open to that. And actually the proffer here would be that they would like to run the infrastructure necessary for potential future electrical vehicle charging stations. That certainly makes it easier when the demand is there to put those facilities in. They do have stores that have the facilities, but at this point in time, I think the prudent thing for them, what they would prefer is to again, run the infrastructure and have that available so that the transition to alternative energies is that much more seamless when the demand arises. I hope that's acceptable to the board. I know that has been the proffer in prior cases as well. I hope that's acceptable.
So let me make sure I'm understanding this. So you're willing to proffer putting as a condition and putting in the infrastructure now, and then we could put as a finding. Then we will not need the consideration necessarily. I don't think, Commissioner Giraldo, we can put a finding that the applicant is pursuing alternate energy sources at this time, and is exploring it, and has agreed to put in the the facilities, the infrastructure now.
Yes,
that's fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you. That concludes the questions on the part of Mr. O. So we have a number of people signed up, and sometimes you've had some meetings with the community. I don't know if all the people signed up here were part of that meeting or not. I cannot tell, but what I do need to say is that there are several different stages in the development process. And this particular stage, as I indicated before, is a detailed site plan stage. So the traffic is not something that we can consider at this stage. It is something that we considered at the preliminary plan stage. I know we have our expert, Mr. Masak, on the line, and we also have Mr. Lenhart on behalf of the applicant's team. So that's one thing that I wanted to say, and the fact that, and it is a permitted use. That has already been predetermined by the legislative body that enacted this law, putting this in the MXT zone. So it is the gas station and the Royal Farms and the store is a permitted use. So it has to meet other criteria, but we cannot then change the use, nor can we say, okay, we have one 2 miles down the road or across the street, and because that is not a factor in something we can consider in our decision making. So I'm going to go down the list of the people who've signed up. I have Charmaine Tyler Jackson first.
I'm going to forego speaking because I was very happy that he's going to put in the infrastructure for the electric cars. Thank you, Madam.
Okay. Wonderful. Christine Howe?
You're muted.
Okay,
You're
she's
muted.
muted.
I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
My name is Christine Hupp, and I'm representing the Marwood Homeowners Association. We submitted in writing some of our objections to the development of this property as a Royal Farm store. And you kind of wiped out some of those with your explanation as to what stage we're currently at. But I'd like to go on record as saying that we are an active adult senior community, independent living. We are located in close proximity to the proposed Hope Village Center, and we are opposed to the development project known as Hope Village Center. It's case 20008. We anticipate that the commercial development of this property would have numerous adverse effects on our residents and the safety and quality of our life as we are currently experiencing it in Marwood. So like I said, we wanted to go on record as opposing the commercialization of this property. However, based on what I understand now, certain plans are in place, and we would like to request a couple considerations. One of which is that the landscaping of the Royal Farm store will be minimized so that the commercialization of the property is not blaring to the community. We'd like to have it so that if you know it's there, you know, that you can go up and see it.
You mean minimized or maximized?
Minimized.
So you don't want much landscaping, no planting and things like that. Okay.
No, I didn't say that. I said that I would like to have the landscaping such that the commercialization of the property has been minimized. In other words,
Okay, so maximized. You want the landscaping maximized.
That's
okay.
correct. Right.
Okay.
It's kind of similar to the Wawa on 301 that's located in the center strip. But you really don't see that until you actually get up in it for the most part because of the way it's situated on that lot. And we could do something similar to that with maximum landscaping around it. We would appreciate it. Most of us moved into the community because we like the rural aspects of the area and we hate to see it get overly developed.
Okay.
So other than the ones that you have on.
First of all, did I pronounce your name correctly? Is it How or Hoff? Did you say Hoff?
It's Hough, Hough, like Rough or TOU.
Okay, so that's how you pronounce it, Hoff?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. I wanted to ask you a question. Were you part of the meeting that Mr. O just mentioned?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay,
Monday, Tuesday evening. Yes, we were.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
There were 3 representatives there from our community.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Hoff.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to go through the number of people who signed up and then see if the board has any questions of anyone. Ms. Perry now, Ms. Perry was having some difficulty before. I know we emailed her the phone number. Is that you, Ms. Perry? Okay, good.
I'm here. May I speak?
You sure can.
Okay. I would like to say to the board, when you're coming up with these wonderful ideas, or you think they're wonderful, it would be nice to look and see who lives around this area that you're going to put this, and ask, could we have some input as taxpayers as to what goes near our communities where we live? Because it's obvious from what you're saying, you've already got what we said about it from the Tuesday meeting, and you know how we feel about it. But my complaint is with the Royal Farms is they're coming up like no tomorrow. We'll have 50 in Prince George County. And when I leave the county and go to another county, I hardly see 1 or 2. And that makes me think not so nice about why are they putting all of these good service stations around us. I mean, we sell chicken, yes, it's wonderful, but we get chicken from Safeway down the road, and it's wonderful, and they have good sales, it tastes good, and we don't smell it 2 blocks before we get there. It's just that I feel surrounded. Yes, there is another one 2 miles down the road. And when you leave the mall, there's one on that corner, and you go 2, 4, 3 blocks down the street, and there's one on that corner. We are being, it just doesn't look good. Can we, I don't like the idea. I really don't like it being near us. We are a community. You got Belmont Crest. Those are some beautiful homes over in that area. And it's just that we never thought this was going to happen. And
Okay, so let me ask.
Said about it. And hey, that's the way we feel, and we expressed our concerns. You know about them already. I can tell by the way you talk. You heard about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading, and we care about everyone's concerns, but I do have to tell you we have some legal parameters. And so there's different types of applications, as I said. And so we've been through the conceptual site plan, we've been through the preliminary plan, and the different factors are considered at different levels of application. So but what I will say, I mean, you started off with when we have these ideas, we don't have these ideas. Number one, the council enacts the legislation determining the zone, and they have made this zone MXT, which means that it allows these types of uses. It's already predetermined that the type of use, not the specific, not that it says, okay, Royal Farms, but this type of use, a gas station and a convenience store are deemed permitted. But so then an applicant can come, and it's along with other uses as well. So an applicant can come in, which is what we have in this particular case. The Royal Farms has come in and presented something, but what they do is they must have an informational mailing that's sent out to the community. They must have an acceptance mailing, and they post the property. And what I really want to know is about your homeowners association or whatever association you're in, because what I heard you say is you had no knowledge of anything, and they should notify the community. And we have been told that the community has been notified. So I don't, I want to. Okay, so what is your community?
It's the Marwood community.
Right. It's Marwood, the Marwood Homeowners Association.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, Marwood Home. Okay, now, okay, I'm gonna come back to that. So, so the number of Royal Farms in a particular area is not something that we consider. It's not a criteria that we're allowed to consider. But if they meet the requisite criteria, that they can go into a zone that permits this type of use, and that's what we have here. But there should be communication, and I would like to find out if the Marwood Homeowners Association is one of the registered associations with us, if someone can answer that question for us. And Mr. Bossi, maybe you can look that up, or Mr. Hunt, while we hear from others. Because when registered homeowners associations in the immediate vicinity will get notice, it typically goes to the president of the homeowners association, and there will be a phone number, there'll be contact information should the association want to have a meeting. And in this pandemic, the meetings are virtual, obviously. But so that is an opportunity. So I don't know if the Marwood Homeowners Association is a registered association with us or not. So somebody's going to have to explain that to me, because you should have had some notice.
Okay, I am the chair of the Legislative and Community Concerns Committee.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. I don't know who's speaking now.
Christine Huff.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to, okay.
Okay. And
you have,
I'm not sure whether or not we're registered with the planning board. I really don't know that. The person who was in this position recently moved out of state a couple of months back. And so we don't have access to his records at this point.
Okay, so wait, hold on a second, Ms. Hopper. Well, we can find that out for you, but I will tell you what we say, and we'll get, we have your, I'm not gonna announce it all over, but we have your contact information, and we'll get you that information to see, A, if you're registered, and B, how to register if you're not registered. But C, I do want to caution everybody, I caution homeowners associations all the time about this. If you have a change in officers, please let us know, because very often what we see is the president or either is, there's a new election and that person's no longer president. And so the notice may go to that person and they may or may not do anything with it. Or the person moves away and we still have old contact information. So if it's not revised with us, we won't know. But we're going to check it now and make sure that we have the right information.
Your sound went out. I don't know if you can still hear me, but I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, so we can make sure that you have the we can make sure that you're registered, and we're going to help you through that process, so you will not be in a position where you don't get notice. Okay.
Madam Chair, it's Adam Bossi from the Urban Design section. I just wanted to confirm, it looked like the informational and acceptance mailings for the case were sent to the Marwood Community Association at 5600 North Marwood Boulevard, but it sounds like we may need to follow up with Ms. Ruff and update that.
Okay. Now,
and I would just like, Jean Perry, one last thing. I hope that the board or whomever is in charge will look back on this to see about accidents and people getting hurt at that intersection. It is a very small compared to all the traffic that it has. So that is one thing that needs to be looked at in the future. That's my last comment.
Okay, thank you. Now, let me maintain a little semblance of order here in terms of who's speaking. Ms. Hopp, I want to make sure, are you saying to us that you can't hear us?
That's what she's saying. Yeah.
Okay, she can't hear us. I don't know why that is.
She cannot hear you.
She cannot hear us.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear her, but she cannot hear you.
Okay, so we're gonna look into that and find out why she can't. And also we can make sure that she has a phone number to call in. Okay, so you all take care of that? Well, okay, so Ms. Hawk, well, can someone, I can't tell her because she can't hear us. So can someone put in the chat how to check the email so she can phone in, okay? Thank you. I'm gonna go on to Regina Ballard at this time.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. This is Regina Ballard, and I spoke previously. I'm one of the residents on Belmont Crest community. I want to first thank you for making that suggestion that we meet with Antioch and Mr. Sangho. We did have that meeting Tuesday, and some of our concerns were addressed. I just have one question because I did hear that you all were speaking about a service road. And I wasn't quite sure where that road was. When we spoke with Mr. Lenhart, he confirmed that the road, the relocated Marlboro Pike, which I do live on, of course, is in the master plan to open. But at this time, until further development of the property behind this Royal Farms is developed, that our road would not be open. I just want to confirm that the service road you're speaking of is not the road in front of my home.
Okay, we're gonna have Mr. Lenhart address that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lenhart?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. For the record, Michael Lenhart. When she says service road, I believe that she's speaking of Road A, which there's been a lot of discussion this week with staff about the construction of Road A, which is the private road.
Mr. Lenhart, I'm gonna have Mr. Flanagan over here point the cursor to Road A so that everyone can see exactly what you're talking about, okay? So if you just...
Certainly. Road A comes in off of Marlboro Pike and loops around the back of the building and ties into Woodyard Road.
Where the cursor is now?
That's correct.
Thank you.
That's correct. And so the plan that you're looking at right now shows the Road A stopping just beyond each of our driveways. We've agreed with staff that we will connect that as part of this detailed site plan. So it will be fully connecting service road that loops around the back of the building. And it's not the Marlboro Pike relocated, which is a master plan roadway that is located maybe 1,500 feet or so south of this site. It goes through the bottom half of the Hope Village preliminary plan.
I hope that explains it for you, Ms. Ballard. I think you were on the phone. I don't know if you were able to see that.
Yes, I can see it. Yes, it does. Yeah, he shows that it's behind if I'm correct, Mr. Lenhart, behind the gas station, but not coming across the street into our neighborhood quite yet.
That's correct. That's correct. It's not the one that goes through the center of your neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So that's all the statement that I had. I just wanted to clarify the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ballard. Carolyn Bryant. I think I called on her earlier. There was no response. Can we just check again? Okay. No, she's not on. Okay, so I'm going to, at this time, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to see if any of the board members have questions, number one. And then I'm going to ask Mr. Bassi or the planning department to work with the association, make sure that their information is updated, okay? So that they get notice of everything. Okay, and then I'm going to ask Mr. O, depending on how this goes, to continue to be in contact with the community and to entertain the landscaping. So let's see if the board has any questions of any of the speakers at this time. Commissioner Washington?
No questions, but thank the citizens for coming out. But I would like for Mr. O to comment on Ms. Ruff Huff, her comment about the landscaping.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to come back to him too. So, okay, Commissioner Dorner.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Giraldo.
No questions.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. O. You heard
Yes,
the concern. Okay, about you know, about the landscape and just trying to have it look a little more beautiful with the landscaping.
Yes.
Do you have any comments? Okay.
We did have a discussion on this at our Tuesday meeting. It was raised as an issue. We do have a detailed site plan before the board at this point in time that does meet the requirements of the design manual and does comply. Anything that the residents will be asking for will be above and beyond. We are open to those discussions. It was, I think, impractical to come up with a plan on Tuesday at this point in time, but I think it's a future discussion with the residents and a discussion about what can be done to address their concerns, but at the same time balancing that versus the need for this new station to have visibility. But beyond that, I think it's a continued discussion.
Let me say this because I heard them and I hear your response. It's a double-edged sword because you don't want so much landscaping where people can hide and things that poses a safety issue. You don't want so much that people can't see that the Royal Farms is there. At the same time, you can still have some landscaping that beautifies the whole site and enhances the neighborhood. And so what I heard you say is that you're willing to work with them. So don't put it off, just please try to set up a meeting with them to see how, what ways you can enhance it. I know you meet the legal criteria, but you want to be a good neighbor. Okay.
Absolutely. And I think the point is that the Belmont Crest community is located across Woodyard Road, which is the more minor road. So there probably is more landscaping opportunity there as opposed to Marlboro Pike itself. So.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to turn to Mr. Goldsmith to see if there's anything else that we needed to add with regard to. I know there are a number of issues have been raised, and I've gone through. We've gone through the exhibit from Ms. Hoff, and much of which has to do with transportation, which is not appropriate for a detailed site plan. But there are other issues. But the point is, we're hearing the concerns that have been raised, and Mr. O, the applicant, is hearing the concerns that have been raised, and they will continue to. While this may meet the legal criteria, they will continue to meet and see if they can enhance it somewhat. Mr. Goldsmith, is there anything else to add?
Yes, Madam Chair. If it's okay, I would like to just quickly run through the opposition's written exhibit, just for the sake of the record.
Thank you.
There were, again, as Madam Chair addressed, there was a concern that the intersection of Marlboro Pike and Woodyard Road was inadequate and dangerous. I mean, the board addressed the adequacy of the roads and the intersections at preliminary plan of subdivision, and also considered several of the upgrades to nearby intersections that are currently underway. Madam Chair also addressed the issue of that there may be other Royal Farms nearby that are under construction, but I think it's worth pointing out that the zoning ordinance provides what uses are allowed and what uses are prohibited. It does not regulate what businesses may operate those uses. And the board doesn't have an authority to say, well, there's another Royal Farm down the street. This gas station has to be a Shell or an Exxon. And the board cannot make that determination. There was a concern that the gas station may attract loitering or encourage littering. Whether that is true, again, that's not a factor that the planning board can consider when evaluating this detailed site plan. But if there's any lingering around the property or that's elevated to a crime, then that would be an issue to be addressed by the police. And during preliminary plan of subdivision stage, the planning board found that there were adequate police facilities to serve this site. And this application was referred to the police department and they had no comments. I think the next concern was that there may be, because there's future developments that are underway now, that some children from those developments might be tempted to cross the street, and it could be a dangerous crossing to get to the Royal Farms. But this, whether valid or not, the planning board can't really consider this hypothetical. I mean, the board or planning staff and the board would have looked at those issues when those properties were under review, and if any future developments are nearby, the board will certainly consider that. There was an issue raised that perhaps there may be the smell of fried chicken may permeate the surrounding community. As Madam Chair mentioned, this is not a consideration of the use. This is a consideration of just the layout of the property. This is a site plan. While this, sometimes odors may be a factor if the when the use is being scrutinized further, like as a special exception hearing. But again, this is just simply a site plan. And then I believe Madam Chair addressed the traffic issues. We talked about they were addressed, how the roads were found adequate during preliminary plan subdivision. I think there was one last item where it said that the additional traffic may increase air pollution. And again, the zoning ordinance does not regulate automobile air emissions. When the district council can make determinations about when and under what conditions certain uses will be allowed in certain areas of Prince George's County based on the harmful effects of the that are associated with those uses. And they did that when they rezoned this property to MXT. I think that was everything that was addressed.
Okay, thank you. And depending on the motion and the vote here, those are items that need to be addressed to some extent in the resolution. What I would like to know is Mr. Bossi or Mr. Hunt, who is going to be responsible to reaching out to Ms. Huff regarding ensuring that the homeowners association is registered and we have the correct address?
Madam Chair, I'll do that for the record. James Hunt.
Okay. I think she is on the phone now, so I think she can hear us now. And so you're going to reach out to her separately offline to make sure that we update that so they have information. Mr. O, you have committed to continue to work with the neighborhood. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And I want to clarify it. Antioch Baptist Church is the owner of the entire Hope Village property, and Antioch Baptist Church also committed to be a part of the process of engaging with the community henceforth going forward.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. Now, okay, so does the board have any questions? Oh, you know what, Mr. Bossi, can you please read again the condition that you read into the record?
Yes, ma'am, I'd be happy to. After this discussion, I know there's a lot to capture with the motion.
Yes.
So the quick summary is, with the applicant's requested revisions, we are in agreement with the revision to finding 7C and conditions 1M and N as provided. And then the language for condition 3 that was provided before, and it's a mouthful, you have to excuse me, is prior to approval of a building permit, the construction of roadways within parcel A shall have full financial assurances and have an agreed upon timetable for construction with the appropriate operating agency that shall require completion of construction of roadways within parcel A, including all landscaping, lights, and other improvements, no later than 18 months following the issuance of the building permit, and in any event, no later than 90 days following the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the building on parcel 1.
Okay, and I'm sure that was too much for anybody to write down, but it'll be what you said. Okay. Does the board have any questions?
Yeah, I have one question for Mr. Bossi. Okay. Just in the recommendations 1M and N, I understand that we're accepting or we're in agreement with the applicant's modifications, but I think they also proffered to have it 8 foot wide. So we should probably clarify in any motion and subsequent edits that the very end of the sentences should say to the building as a painted 8-foot wide crosswalk.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Dorner. And just to kind of round out some of the other items that were brought up for consideration in your resolution, there was the proffer from the applicant regarding the electric vehicle charging station infrastructure. So the resolution will require an adjustment to the finding and a condition on that point as well. And there was the point regarding consideration for the applicant to continue discussion on the landscaping concerns with neighbors.
Okay. All right. Were there any, does any other board member have questions? Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Washington here. I move that we adopt the findings of staff in addition to the modified findings 7C as outlined in applicant exhibit number 1, in addition to including a new finding related to the applicant exploring alternative energy methods. And I would ask council and staff to work on the appropriate language for that. In addition to adding a consideration with regards to beautification of landscaping, and the area, and approve DSP-20008 and TCP2-043-2020, along with the associated conditions as outlined in staff's report and as modified in applicant exhibit number 1, in addition to ensuring that language in conditions 1M and N as modified in applicant exhibit number 1 include the appropriate language with regards to the crosswalk being 8 feet wide. And condition 3 will be as modified and as read into the record by Mr. Bossi, in addition to adding the proffered condition by the applicant about adding the infrastructure for charging stations, electric car charging stations. I think I got it all.
And that's what I call a motion. And we have a motion and a second by Commissioner Giraldo. Commissioner Washington.
Aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
Aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
But aye.
The ayes have it 4-0. I want to thank everyone for coming and thank the citizens for their expressing their concerns, some which we can work through, some which we can't. But I know we're going to promote extra communication with the applicant in this case, and we will ensure that your information is updated. And we thank you very much for your time. With that, I'm going to go to item 3A.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Yeah, and I do want to say, before you go forward, I wanted to say this is something we have worked on extensively with Councilmember Ivy. I know this, Mr. Balaj has been working on it extensively too, but go ahead, Ms. Hightower.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Board. I just want to quickly talk to you about CB 6/2021, which amends the locational regulations for medical cannabis dispensaries, growers, and processors to permit the uses to be 300 feet from residential and school uses. The boundaries must be measured from the customer or building entrance following the shortest distance on a public right-of-way to the property line. Staff believes that the 300-foot locational language needs to be clarified and amended. It is not clear if the limitation is between the customer or building entrance and a nearby property, or if the limitation is along the public right-of-way. Staff has also recommended technical amendments to the bill. Staff recommends that the Planning Board vote to support CB 6/2021 with amendment.
So you ready for a motion? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Is there a motion? We don't have Commissioner Washington.
I'll go ahead and move to adopt the recommendations by staff and approve that we make these recommendations and transmit them with support.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Doerner and seconded by Commissioner Giraldo. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Commissioner Doerner,
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo,
Vote aye.
and I vote aye. That's 3-0. Ayes have it 3-0. I'm going to make two announcements. First of all, I announced early that on this day in 1990, Nelson Mandela was freed from prison after 27 years of incarceration in South Africa. And I remember sitting there at the time we had VCRs and VHS tapes, and I just remember being moved to tears to watch him walk out of that prison. I remember I recorded it. I still have it on a videotape, which is kind of useless to me now. But I want to close with his quote. For to be, even though he had spent nearly 3 decades in that prison, he said, for to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. So I'm going to close with that and say happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Remember, there's all kinds of love. So honor your significant other, your spouse, your boo, your friends, your siblings, your family, your loved ones. I mean, we must get to more kindness and more love in this world. So that's how I'm closing out today. Before my final question, which is directed to Mr. Hunt, is there any additional business to come before the planning board today?
There are no additional business items before the board today, Madam Chair.
Planning board is adjourned. Stay safe. We're expecting more snow. Take care. Thank you.